Today, September 29th, 2018, marks exactly 9 years for me on YouTube since I launched the channel ARTV. Originally known as Album Review TV, it's crazy to think in that span of time I've released more than 1,000 videos on the channel, and I've started a second channel beyond ARTV that has grown to be almost as big as ARTV. This year alone, I hit the milestone of 100,000 subscribers, and I just want to say thank you to you guys. And to give back to you, I'm going to be reviewing an album that I've been kind of anticipating a review for a long time, and I know you guys have as well. Thank you for your patience. Today, we finally tackle 39 Smooth by Green Day. And you know what the worst thing about this record is for me? The biggest hang-up that I have. It was released April 13th, 1990. By exactly 1 week, they missed a 420 reference in and of itself right there. Green Day, 420 instead of 413, come on. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the review. Thank you so much to everybody who's stuck around, and no matter when you joined in on the channel, subscribing, watching the content, I appreciate you. What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It is time for a throwback review, a give back review I suppose, because of course this is for my channel's 9th anniversary celebration. I hope you guys enjoy this one because I know you've been looking forward to it, because I have reviewed every other Green Day album except for the debut 39 Smooth. If you want to catch up on all of my other Green Day content, all of the other reviews, all the albums I've covered, then that will be linked in the card right now, right here on screen, or there's a link at the end of the video or in the description. 39 Smooth and I are almost the same age. I was born in 1991, this released in 1990, and this is an album that unfortunately I feel I haven't given enough attention to over time. It's one of those records that kind of gets overlooked because they started to gain recognition with their next release, which was not just the compilation of 1039 Smooth Out Slappy Hours or whatever, I can never say that title correctly, but it was a compilation of 39 Smooth, their EPs Slappy, and obviously 1000 Hours. And they really started to gain all of the international attention with, of course, Kerplunk, and then they just went huge, like nuclear, next level on Dookie in 1994. But 4 years before that, what happened on 39 Smooth? Green Day formed in 1986, which means they recently celebrated their 30th anniversary as a band. They formed with Billy Joe Armstrong, of course, doing vocals and guitars, and Mike Dirnt, the bassist, but originally we didn't have Trey Cool. In fact, this album, 39 Smooth, is the only studio record to feature John Kiffmeyer. I think Kiffmeyer definitely goes underappreciated. He decided to pursue college and producing music more as the avenue of his choice for life, and that's totally fine. I'm so glad that we have Trey Cool, obviously, but Kiffmeyer and his contributions to the band should not go unrecognized just because Trey Cool is so beloved at this point. In fact, he wrote one of the tracks on this album titled I Was There, and it's one of the best songs on 39 Smooth. Green Day were different from a lot of punk rock bands in the late 80s. They, of course, were associated with the famous Gilman Club, and they were banned for a long time. They eventually came back and paid homage to that. But in the late 80s, I feel like the movement of punk was a little bit more angry, often very political, and not that Green Day haven't been political in years since, but on their debut album and a lot of their early material, there was more reflection, more romanticism, if you will. A lot of love songs, especially on 39 Smooth. That's not to say that 39 Smooth isn't a punk record at its core. There's just other elements at work here. I really appreciate the guitar playing style on this album. In fact, Armstrong definitely was doing some different things on tracks like The Judge's Daughter, where he actually does an honest-to-God guitar solo that is all over the place instead of just playing the melody. That is one of my biggest gripes with some of Green Day's material, at least in the guitar solo department. Even though they often sound very cool, they're just kind of playing back the melody. And on this track, The Judge's Daughter, and some of the others, there's some really cool guitar moments that I feel go underappreciated. The drumming is, of course, very solid thanks to Kiffmeyer, and I think Green Day stood out in the first place in the early days because of Mike Dirnt. A lot of bands just bury that bass and do not thrive off of it, where Mike Dirnt just brings it to the forefront and helps it shape up so many of these songs. At just over 30 minutes in length, I often feel like this album just kind of zips by, and there are some less than memorable traces that pop up in many of the songs. I feel like I just have listened to it and I don't even retain the information sometimes, and that kind of hits me in the middle of the album. It's not necessarily to say that there's a bad song on this album, one that just glares at me and says, this is something that you don't want to come back to, because it's such a compact record. It's one of those things that you can easily play over and over again, and it's never a bad experience. I just feel like at times it gets a little bit forgettable. Of course, the performances are pretty stellar all throughout. The lyrics aren't always amazing or anything, but still, for a band on their debut album, I just feel this is pretty impressive stuff. The hooks on many of these songs were actually quite excellent. Things that are going to have you kind of nodding your head, getting into the groove. You're going to want to air guitar. You're going to want to play the bass along with third, and following those drum patterns still. I like the fact that they can go from something like Rest, which really saw them throwing a curveball, probably especially to fans at the time, because it's a slow, hazy track written about an appearance of an angel, it seems, and then they can obviously already have explosive tracks like Don't Leave Me, or even something like Disappearing Boy. At the Library kicks off this record, and it has a lot of energy and tension to it. I just feel like you're getting started and you're just getting ready to go, and At the Library gives you that push that you need. The guitar tone here is really nice, and I like that thing that they do after the chorus. It's chugging and rhythmic during the verses, and then after the chorus there's that little it just really does it for me. I can't exactly explain it, but listen to the song and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Road to Acceptance definitely has a strong message that Billy Joe has been preaching for the longest time in his career, accepting others and also dealing with the fact that he was never truly accepted by his peers in his high school days, maybe even before that, and it has a very nice guitar tune to it overall. I love Billy's vocals on the aggressive track Going to Pasalacqua. As I jumped head on into this album as I decided to review it, I feel like this is a song that jumped out to me just because, of course, the gritty production, but also because of Armstrong's vocal range here. He's hitting some higher notes, especially during the chorus, and that change and those octave shifts are something that were a little bit unexpected, especially since I hadn't come back to this song in a while, but it's impressing me still, and it's one of the biggest standouts on the LP. Another track that I obviously adore would be the self-titled song. Most bands have a self-titled album, Green Day have a self-titled song. They were of course originally known as Sweet Children, changing the name to Green Day to reflect their love for pot, and they have a song named after it as well, and what do you think it's about? A bag of weed, oh everything is better with a bag of weed. The Judge's Daughter is the closing moment and is hands down my favorite song on the record. You guessed it, it's about a judge's daughter that Armstrong had a crush on in high school. He tweeted out those thoughts in 2011, reminding people of just what some of the meanings of the early songs actually were, and this one is pretty spot on. But that doesn't make it any less fun and catchy, especially the way that it kind of plays out like a courtroom scenario. You can really feel the teenage rage and desperation on Don't Leave Me as Armstrong cries out on a pretty catchy hook. Although over time, with repeated plays, I feel like that one, especially in the chorus department, gets a little bit grating to my ears. I think it's done better on Disappearing Boy, at least in terms of that frustration that Armstrong and the rest of the band are feeling, and they're able to channel it through the music in a much more solid and engaging way. Many of you watching this review probably know that Green Day is my personal favorite band, and 39 Smooth, like I mentioned before, is one of those albums in their discography that I just didn't give enough love and appreciation for because I didn't listen to it enough to have a fully fleshed out opinion. And at this point, I have done so, and it's safe to say that I'm going to rate this a 4 out of 5. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing me finally tackle this album in review form. Let me know what you think of the debut album by Green Day in the comments section down below. And remember, this wasn't a review of the compilation 1039 Smoothed Out Slappy Hours. This is 39 Smooth, and there are 10 songs on the record, 31 minutes, and that's what this video was. Thank you for watching. Thank you for 9 years on YouTube. Please drop a like on this video, help it get to 1,000 likes to celebrate the channel's anniversary. And other than that, if you would like to support me on Patreon, help me to continue doing what I'm doing, then visit the top link down below. You can also tap that annotation in the corner of the screen to go directly to my Patreon, catch up on all of my Green Day videos all in one convenient playlist by tapping this annotation here, or tap right over here for another recent throwback review I did on the channel. Other than that, thank you for 9 years, here's to 9 more, and I'll see you soon on ARTV.